Okay, I'm back, updating my title. Make sure this still works. There we go, beautiful. I think I remembered everything. How went the Dreadwind playthrough? Really good. Second fastest of the runs we've done. We did it on C100. It was 138. With 89 total Dreadwinds. And the only thing faster than that thus far was Ambihex with a Wicked Gossip and a Trickster's Ice Spike. Frost Shiver AA. Frost Shiver, but not AA. We did Blood of the Fallen. Blood of the Fallen. We're doing Blood of the Fallen Ghostblade as well. Blood of the Fallen Ghostblade C100. Yes, sir. Built more for duration than damage as well. Like, we have triple duration rings. Another nice thing about my ISP actually functioning right now is we're not on this awkward extra delay that builds up over stream. Feels good, man. Send your to answer my question. Yeah. Okay, so got the Tootherator, the Delusion, the Stab-O-Matic as per usual. Those are all the same. Got a 21% crit pickaxe. Pickaxe is great because it's flexible in the attack speed and the crit stats department, while having decent base damage. Now, there's better pickaxes for this, like a 1.9 pickaxe is probably significantly better here. But I wanted to do the max crit chance one to make up for the fact that I'm running duration rings here. We got a Kobold, so we can have maximum mileage at a shell casing while getting some extra melee damage. The Urge to help with our downtime a little bit, because we'll have enough movement speed that I don't think Slip and Stun's going to be worth. Body Rune, because it's Body Rune, and a very nice Amalgam. Skill tree is just 3 points in haste, 2 in potent poisons, 5 in swift death, 3 in exploit their weakness, and then we're Burr Tree down to Blood of the Fallen, skipping Ancestral Frost, Ancient Fury, and Blast Chill. What help mod? What help mod do I have? Echo, which isn't going to do much. I should have grabbed Ancient, but I honestly forgotten. I don't care to correct it. Let's do it. Zoom in. And this is without being enraged as well. We can go faster. Meow. Wonder if I can move fast enough to still have Ghostblade for the next enemies. Come on, come on. Yes! That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so we're gonna lose it for a second. This is where having the Ancient Hilt would have been nice. I will bonk. It's not like we're lacking swing speed. Frankly, this is absurd. This is peak Ghostblade. I wonder. Yo, that works. That's so sick. Take away from the streamers, need to play with Blood of the Fallen more. Blood of the Fallen's so fun, and it's incredibly powerful, as long as you have the damage to actually still secure your kills. Like, that's the biggest thing. Blood of the Fallen means no alchemical agent, and this is one of the reasons why not giving us double capstone or T5 plus capstone was good game design here, because imagine having alchemical Blood of the Fallen. Every single melee build would be running that. There would be no reason not to. It would just be that. Because you'd be able to do this, but with the best dot in the game. Expired during the cutscene. Sad. Set up work well in Chambers C100 if tested. I haven't yet, but I can do it at the end of this run. I know Rune and Stoneswan have both done Blood of the Fallen Ghostblade at C100 to some success. There's just like a couple bosses that become like you need to really go through your debuffs, but as long as you have crossbolts and soaked available, it's fine. Armor you end up with Amalgam. Amalgam so we could get a shitload of movement speed. Was the thought process. 3 haste, 2 cold snap, movement speed passive, beneficial damage passives. Let's just really zoom through some of these areas. I predict that Karnok's wall in particular will be quite fast. Diamond Gauntlet would have been interesting too. I may have to try that myself sometime. Diamond Gauntlet Ghostblade is quite good, because in bossing situations you can just stand still and then you get all the benefits. It's a huge chunk of crit hits, especially when it comes down to melee. Like 50% is big for melee spells, because remember that goes off of your base. And with this 21% pickaxe, my base is 26%. So that's just 13% overall crit from standing still. And then you get the elemental damage as well. Diamond Gauntlets is quite good for Ghostblade. It's just the big downside is you can't benefit from Swift Death and Diamond Gauntlets at the same time. You need to make sure your global damage category is stacked elsewhere. My Barbara has 5 Cold Snap, 5 Haste, and a move speed passive, and whatever I loaded that character. It's like, it's fucking whiplash speed levels. Yeah, and there's of course things we could do to get even more movement speed. You could of course introduce the Forbidden Spell. There's running Slip and Stun and then sliding around on top of all of that. Flag Mugra. Does slobs allow you to just record audio, use it for later? You just record video and then rip the audio. That's what I've done for some YouTube uploads. I'll just record, like, with my webcam off without capturing a game. It'll just be black screen. And then I just use that. Keep your forbidden spell away from the holy action skill. Okay, okay. Be cool, be cool. Swift Death, I remember seeing people saying it was bad. I also remember wondering if because it wasn't violent momentum levels are dumb. Swift Death is inefficient per point. It is less bad than we originally thought it was. It is still low value per point, as with most Stabomancer skill tree skills. It's just not as bad as first thought. It's still worth taking in most scenarios, because if you're trying to get down the Stabo tree, it's better than most of them. And if you are a Frost Shiver in particular, global damage is a stat that Berserker Tree gives you 0% of. Absolutely none. In fact, the only Berserker specific thing that gives you global damage is the Dreadwind's specific Warden Chant. Otherwise, Berserkers do not have access to that stat outside of, you know, Amulet passive, Armor passive, Amnesia, and their multi-class. And Fortifying Sigil, of course. And Chance. Just class-agnostic stuff. So, Swift Death does frequently get taken on Frost Shivers for those reasons. It does quickly lose value compared to some other things, but it's only relevant to some class setups. Hey, fan. Happy late birthday. Thank you. I appreciate it. Hope things have been going well. Oh, with the nail design fits the theme of Wildflower and Valentine's Day. How about you do it? Because I have no idea what I would answer that with. Come on, enemies. There we go. Mr. Glenn, happy birth. Thank you, sir. I've got some things on my plate today, but, Greninja tonight? Ace is one hell of a drug. Indeed it is. Yeah, I wish I had remembered to do an Ancient Hilt, but that's okay. Well, that's a great place for Ghostblade. Just all up in the spawn. Beautiful. And you're going to stream it on the background audio tonight? Maybe. A Mr. Glenn evening stream? I probably won't. Although maybe if we hang out in Discord, maybe I would then. I don't know. Maybe. Baby shower to go to, I'll be home after that. Cool. Well, we're already over 108 Ghostblade actions. It's so fun to move. I forgot to get my shell casing. That's why I don't have as much duration as I wanted. There we go. The sound of Ghostblade's amazing. The animation movement looks sick. I love it so much. Such good attention to detail. And like it reflects which direction you're looking relative to where the Ghostblade already is. Like moving it right, you have an animation to move it to the right. Moving it left, you have an animation to move it to the left. It's so cool. Goated action skill now and forever. Amen. Amen. Gonna lurk to cook cottage pie. Let him cook. I'll be listening to the sweet, sweet sounds of Ghostblade in the background. Sounds good. Sounds good. Ghostblade do anything with Spellblade? No. Spellblade was changed to be melee swing only. Some time ago. Sad? No, not sad. Good for game balance. It's one of the most healthy decisions they ever made. There goes Blade Mage. How about you just do a different flavor of melee with Spellblade? Like, actually hitting things with a Spellblade is perfectly viable. Second I leave, someone brings up Spellblade. There's also other ways to make builds that fit the whole blade mage idea. Like casting spells to trigger XC blade to hit with blades. There's a couple changes that some people will instinctively be like, oh, I wish they hadn't done that. Things like making Blast Chill on melee attack only, making Spellblade on melee attack only, things like that. But like making Spore Fuse gun only. But if they hadn't made those changes, the game would be in a much unhealthier state. For example, Spellblade would be just still the best melee weapon for almost everything melee related. And that was fucking boring. Spellshot was a better melee class than the melee classes because of that. We don't need Blast Chill Stab-O-Matic. We don't. We do not need that. We don't need Spore Fuse off of Plague Storm, which I'm sure people would do and be like, oh, look at this bossing strat, just action skill swapping. The reason they made Spore Fuse trigger off of guns only was to stop people from doing action skill swapping, because people were doing it with, like, Dreadwind. Yeah, Dreadwind triggering Spore Fuse was a thing. And just, it wasn't good. It was better this way. Movement speed go brr. If the script is done, Pog. Queen's Cry with Taser still work? Yes. It is gun damage. XE Blade triggers off of gun or spell crits. Chemical is based off the melee hit dealt, yes. That's why Alchemical is as good as it is. It's a dot that double dips off of one of the best forms of damage dealing in this game. And all the gameplay you've seen today is without Alchemical Agent, so yeah. Yeah. Like learning about this game for when I finally start playing again. And Contagion double dips off of whatever dot that caused it. So hitting a melee crit gets you Alchemical Agent, which is a dot that double dips, and then if Contagion triggers off of that, you have a dot that double dips off of that. So triple dipping all the time. That's why Stab-O-Mancer melee is crazy. And you can easily squeeze other layers into that. You introduce Barbalode, introduce Echo, introduce Plague Storm. You can get a lot of mileage. Movement speed is very nice. Izzy, move faster. Izzy, move. Izzy, move faster. There you go. Thank you. Tournament procs AA? Yes. Any melee damage. When I say any melee damage, procs Alchemical Agent for crits. I mean any melee damage. Could be, you know, bonking something in the face. Could be shooting a Stab-O-Matic. Could be a Mace Wardu, a Hammer and Anvil, a Dreadwind, a Ghostblade, Cleansing Flame, Storm Dragon's Judgment, Snake Stick Hydra, Executioner's Blade. All of that's melee. All of that can alchemical. Hey, Jaybridge, thank you for the 30 months. Happy Girth Day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Since I understand that, I was saying, oh no, that's busted. Ah, okay. It's quite good. It's quite good. Meatball sub for breakfast? Ooh, that sounds good.
She's just a girl and she's on fire. There you go, Quack.
Hippie Girth Day, Quack.
Hippie Girth Day. Oh no. I didn't read that as hippie. Which hippie's girth are we managing? Measuring. Managing. I mean, that too, I guess. Everyone's cool. Oh no. The story summary, farm mechanics, icks and purrs, shopping mechanics, quality, life tips, romance options, sorry, excuse for endgame. That seems pretty comprehensive, Mo. You want to play more Wonderlands? I don't want to put down Hollow Knight Randomizer. You can always juggle. Always juggle. Oh, Ghostblade hitting that many enemies at once. The sound, ooh, that is satisfying. I don't even know what I killed there. I probably could have chosen better enchants for this as well, because the Ghostblade enchant's on a duration, so I'm definitely not getting it for most of this, but like... It's upsetting how long this Ghostblade is lasting. Blood of the Fallen plus duration bonuses. Goes hard. said so. Oh, okay. Hey, control. Redemption broken for now. I'll fix it tomorrow. Yeah, I forgot to relink before I started stream. I remembered after, but yeah. My bad. I'm gonna end Ghostblade here. I'm doing that. Banshee hitboxes. My nemesis. Okay, that's the position where it actually hits. Good. You can see the difference when we apply all these debuffs. Yeah, that's a good showcase of how much of an impact debuffs make. You just saw the damage ramping as I correct that. I'm pressing talk. $248 Ghostblade actions already. Yeah, every once in a while I am going to spam move it to eat duration so I can end it to get it back. That is going to pad it out a little bit. So I expect this will be a fast run, but with high Ghostblade usage. Whereas Dreadwind was very efficient. We didn't have to use that many of them at all. The highest action skill count run. Barrage was like over 1,000. I don't remember exactly what Barrage was, but it was a lot. It was somewhere in 4 figures. Got a jet, happy birthday. Thanks again, Hazel. I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out as well. Hope you have a good one. I'll protect from the fish with the sigil. As you can see, the fish just appears no matter where you're looking or where you are. Someone asked about it, and I wanted to confirm for them. I'll use enough barrages to kill one enemy in the whole run, while I'll take any opportunity to shit on Spore. Yo, same. Spore kind of has some interesting applications for some weird stuff I've been trying recently. Like, if you're doing Blood of the Fallen, Dreadwind, Spore is not a bad candidate. Also, it's not bad for Feral Surge, either. Imagine getting caught by that. Ugh. But yeah, Spore is definitely overall the least useful class in this game. I know Claw and Grave suffer from some specific issues in terms of they don't help as many niches as other classes do. Like, Spore, at least, is part of Peak Gun. Grave is part of Peak Spell. But Claw isn't part of Peak anything. However, Claw on its own is better than both Grave and Spore on their own. So I give it partial credit. Like, both of Clawbringer's action skills are better than both of Spore's action skills. And arguably both of Grave's action skills. Claw's Peak Bonk. True. Really? Just gonna burrow right there in front of me. The disrespect. Why do they keep doing this? Can't keep getting away with it. An idea, barrage charge, and reload, and if you're not brutal snapping spore fuse. I mean, yeah, it's a thing. Fear Not Shrikes are just legitimately very good for damage dealing. They also have all the utility things people use them for, but they're just very good for damage dealing. So if you're gonna do Shrikes, then that is a way of doing it. You'd be getting play the angles, you'd have the option of doing barbel load stuff as well. You'd have good mobbing. Single target provided Spore Fuse cooperates would be good too. Biggest concern would be ammo. Play the angles, ricochet, fear not strikes? Yes. Fear not spell damage or something? No? I mean, Fear not pixies are spell damage. Fear not shrikes are guns. Fear Nots won't work. If Fear Not strikes don't work with Play the Angles and Zen isn't misspeaking, then it would just be the projectile type being weird. For example, White Rider can't play the angles. Despite it being gun damage, the projectile just does not work with that. Kind of like how the lob can't indiscriminate in BO3 on Amara. Projectile just does not allow for that behavior. Certain projectiles can't eraser. Not every projectile is equal. I can imagine lob indiscriminate would be so funny. It'd be crazy. Ghostblade's still killing things back there. Amazing. What an action skill. Something still somehow managed to wander into Ghostblade. All the way up there. Get a quick refresh. Rip Nukem indiscriminate. Only Zane can have such BS. Apparently. I can Whatnots instead, and Barbel would be worse still. Well, with Whatnots, they're not inherently... And also, I still don't know if Sen was misspeaking or not. On whether or not Fear Not strikes work with Barbelode. I'm fairly confident they do. Or with not Barbelode, Play the Angles. They, at the very least, work with Barbelode. So, like, either way, I'm still saying go Fear Nots there. But, like, yeah, you could go Whatnots, but they are not inherently crossbolts. So... you would need something else to enable Barbelode. You would also not be getting the gun crossbolt mult for bullets. Ghostblade hitbox L. It's fine. We bonk.
She's just a girl and she's on fire. There you go, Quack.
Hey, Micro.
Big Jimmy Quijetti and Quackball.
I like how meticulous text-to-speech was about pronouncing that. Thank you, Micro, for the 7 months. I appreciate it. Look at Brutal Stampede. For what you're talking about, you would take either gun damage and crit damage or gun damage and ability damage. For what you're thinking. I would personally lean gun damage, crit damage. You already have some ability from myth rank, you have some ability from your spore tree. You don't need more, because crit damage applies to more things. And will also be double dipped. Chance, crit chance not relevant because both gun and ability have very low base crit, so you don't get much out of increasing that. I'm glad you brought up Advanced Nightbot because for the next day, code QUAG30 gets you even more off your advanced purchases. What genre of anime is SpongeBob? Definitely a shonen. Just gonna run Lachance in circles so he stays in the Ghost Blade. Hey, we're about on pace with the Dreadwind run, actually. Like, this is really close. Hang on, isn't this within seconds of how fast that run was going? Want to grab lunch and mix the explosion? It's okay. There'll be more. I still have a polymorph run to do. I'll graduate Ghostblade School. So you learn the Lachance herding technique. And it's a good example of why, no, not all bosses should be designed like Lachance. No matter how much Borderlands players want them to be. Because Lachance can't do anything to you. You can literally run in circles and kill him. That's Borderlands boss design. Give me more Wonderlands boss design. He punishes you if you fall asleep, though. I suppose that's true. That was sick. Knocked that enemy into range of the Ghost Blade. And I have a Jake on my lap. Just crawled up and laid down. He's being a Jake. He's a good boy. Blastard is a hard Borderlands boss, easy Borderlands boss. Remember struggling with Blastard? Blastard is one of the easiest bosses in this entire game. It is 100% a mentality check. Because he's mechanically incredibly fucking boring. His ranged attack struggles to hit you. His Nova attack has a huge telegraph and can be line of sight cheese. The bird has counterplay and only spawns if your DPS is low to begin with. I hate this. I'll line up on that. Half his mechanics turn off if you have literally any sigil spell. And he doesn't move. Also, he's human-sized with an open crit spot, and does not have a ridiculous amount of health. But because he does enough damage to kill you if you try to face tank him, the Borderlands players lost their goddamn minds. Because he's actually capable of killing you if he hits you several times without you doing anything. And because he's one of very few things that they've ever made an active DPS check. I'm also human size, have an open crit spot, and don't have a lot of health. Yo, same. I'm a god, what'd you do, Moo Girl? I'm trying to get nail clients? Uh-huh. I'm stuck. Wait, I'm actually stuck. That's weird. I guess Ghostway doesn't want to hit these coiled mages. I didn't know these have hitbox issues. Gotta aim very low. Definitely losing some time to Dreadwind on this. Very awkward. Number one Ghostblade problem, hitboxes. Extremely awkward. So it's a mentality check. My mentality was shit then? Yes. Because you cannot expect to stand there and expect the boss to be like, ah, okay. Bye. I get an Uber or grocery delivery, and so I'm gonna turn off contact lists. That way they have to see me, they can see my nails. And they go, damn, bro, does your nails? And I go, actually, I do my own. You can possibly give me money. I mean, I respect the hustle. Certainly seems like it could work. Oh, that's Kasara. Oops. Good thing there's no friendly fire. I could save quit here to make sure I have Ghostblade sooner, but... Come on, Drill. Give up the goods. Hitboxes. There we go. Come on. Finish the face. Finish the face. No? Damn it. Okay, that's fine though. Okay. We're out of Daryl fast. I believe Dreadwind was still slightly ahead at this point. We did lose some time in Drowned Abyss. Because hitboxes. I expect Karnok's wall to be fast as fuck, though. $395 coming out of Drill. Sorry, coming out of Daryl's Sudafed hot tub. Sudafed jacuzzi. There we go. Got it right eventually. You're actually tracking those stats? What stats do you mean, Jaybridge? time and action skills needed to complete runs. Yeah, I've got a timer on screen, top right. And for all of these, I've been tracking the number of times I press the action skill button. Dreadwind ended up being 89 activations. Now, I purposely did not include deactivations for Dreadwind. It was 89 activations. Ghostblade, I'm doing activations and also movements. Comparatively across the runs. I was thinking about going back and putting them all in the spreadsheet, like going through all the VODs and checking all of them against each other. So we can have an overall idea of how efficient each action skill is. Now, it'd be imprecise because, for example, I'm allowing myself to just kind of melee here and there on this run. And my gear isn't 100% optimal. Like an Ancient Hilt would have been real nice. But I just kind of didn't feel like doing that. Tidebreaker would have been better here too than the Sigil, but whatever. We still have enough data to make generalizations though, which is one of the reasons I did want to do this. Obviously an Ancient Hilt would be real nice right here, but... So we got Echo, which in this build is functionally having no hilt mod. Quagraph? Yeah, we could do a Quagraph. Ghostblade count is getting skewed hard by the amount you're able to move it. Right. But if we didn't include that, then it would be, like, far and away the most efficient of all of the action skills. Because raw uptime, precision, and it doesn't have any of the problems that Blizzard has. Like, I can move it when I want it, I can run down the duration more easily by spam moving it to end it when I want it. It's able to damage and kill on its own, but it does still leave me the ability to do things. It's all of the strengths with none of the weaknesses. Something like Cleansing Flames does great per target damage once it hits and I have all my buffs lined up and stuff, but it is a very narrow hitbox. And also has some hitbox complications from time to time. Same as Ghostblade, meaning that I could end up with a lot of extra activations. Barrel Surge is one that I use for movement very frequently, and is a little spammier by its nature as well. So there's going to be a lot of extra ones there. So I feel that disqualifying Ghostblade activations from the counter, I don't think that's I don't think that would be in the spirit of what we're investigating here, you know? It'd be like putting in Dreadwind deactivations. Like, what's the point? Why is Ghostblade goated? Because it's amazing. High uptime, great damage, great build flexibility, satisfying audio and visual design. Let's make it a joke. Whoosh. For 440 Ghostblades cringe. 440 activations and or movements. Yeah. Keep in mind with all these counters, we should probably like plus or minus 10 because sometimes I mash the button or hold it slightly too long. It's going off of times I press my F key. But yeah, this has been very interesting to measure. Ones that I've still yet to do, we're definitely doing a polymorph run. Which will serve as a good example to show where polymorph shines and also why ambihex is just generally still better. But situationally, polymorph can be better. I don't know how I would do Reaper of Bones. Still open to it. It's not like Plague Storm where I'm just not gonna do it. But I don't know how I would do it. Now, that's a lot of respects paid. If you're an SMG Blade. Yes, sir. Well, y'all know I was a Ghostblade stand from the second it showed in the trailer. I live Ghostblade. Yeah. You and Nunu. Right there. I was a doubter, and then I became a believer. This is why Wastard's a meme, because you can just do this. He can't do anything. I don't even need to take cover, I could have just used my sigil. He's actually a meme. I'd also point out that on the Ambihex playthrough, we did just one-shot him. Target dummy level boss. Yeah. Unironically. Bone Phase is so harmless, it's weird it's even there. It is weird. It's just a regular skeleton. Like, he has no abilities other than burrowing and summoning weak adds that do the same exact thing. Like, it is actually just fighting a basic enemy. But in the first phase, he's also just a weaker version of skeleton mages. Like, they do more damage than he does. And use the same attacks. The Slam Nova and the Skulls. He is weaker than a badass. Okay. Once again, when we get to Nightmare, I'm gonna go pee. We got some time. Until then, we're on PP%. You're weaker than a badass. I got him. You did. Got so much of the Wonderlands playthrough is dialogue and catching up on levels. It's really interesting to see how fast you go without that stuff. I think sub 1 hour is totally doable, by the way. Just if you heavily optimize and use certain speedrun tech that I'm not using. I think sub 1 hour is totally possible. Dragonlord literally took over a Master Spellcaster and just disappointed us. Yes, he took over a Master Spellcaster and made him weaker. Like, Wastard possessed by Dragonlord is weaker than both Dragonlord and Wastard. Because we can assume that Wastard is at least a slightly more competent Necromancer Mage, you know, these guys. Nope. Another thing to note is that if I had opted to go, say, a Scalawag and Barbalode here, we could cut down our activations quite a lot, because Barbalode would be doing a lot of the multi-target for us, and I wouldn't have to move the blade to every enemy. Another example of how things can be changed in these runs. Like, none of these challenge run, showcase playthroughs, whatever you want to call them, have been to the absolute limit, because there's always things like Mosquito that can be introduced, things like the Forbidden Spell. And I should also mention that the Forbidden Spell, Buffmeister, it disproportionately applies to different things. Some things do get more out of it. Dreadwind, for example, gets both melee and ability scaling, and I run Amnesia on that, so more movement speed is more damage. So, you'd get a lot of damage increasing things out of that on Dreadwind, more than you'd get on Ghostblade. That's one of the reasons it's not really interesting to include that. Do not mention the Forbidden Spell. Hitbox bug. Unfortunate. But it happens. Getting a Mimic there is toxic. Yeah, Cape of Tides could have been good for this run as well. But the move speed from Amalgam is very fun. Cat? Why are you jumping on my desk? Playing on cat difficulty now. Can't see most of my screen. That's gonna cost me. Cat trying to sabotage the run. Barrage set the cat, true. Cat. Don't you do it again, Jake. I'm looking at you. I can see you planning. Damn it. Sabotaging. timer. It's possible to reach C100 gunless? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Easier than spellless or meleeless? Yeah. Yeah. I'd say so. Everyone, the forbidden spell buff damage facing your other equipped spell. And that was a bug that was fixed in, like, the first week. People never let go. Okay, I'm gonna run to the bathroom. Will probably do it? Yeah. Alright, be back. A spell shot with what other class? Yeah, definitely Grapemore. Wrong earbuds. I have too many on my desk and they're obscured by snacks. Yes, I have a box of ginger snaps on my desk. Late night snacking, you know. Yeah, so this will not be as fast as Dreadwind, probably. So we have 11 minutes if we want to match Dreadwind. Cat wanted a ginger snap. I got him his own food. He's over there picking out. You can see Kevin just still being chill on the bed. This is why it doesn't make sense. Kevin is the chonkers one, but his appetite is nowhere near what Jake's is. Forget old shit for this game. Never got the hype around Cryo Spriggans. Spriggans and Nightshades were a good example of something people found early while using Buffmeister and were like, oh, it's so good. But it is a pile-up of assumptions based on bad info. Like, for a while, people were saying, buff all legendaries. Nightshades are the only viable gun. It's like, no. 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 But that's another example of something that the perception around it was skewed because of Buffmeister. High fire rate, high head count applies Buffmeister faster. People like Cryo as well because it is rarely the worst element to use. So people often think that means it's the best element to use. No, rarely the worst does not mean better than others. This was also an early assumption made before people figured out what a bunch of different guns did. Like, people didn't know, hey, if you're using White Rider, put it on single beam. Basic things like that. People didn't know what Ruby Spite did at all. Yeah, a lot of stuff like that. Still use them with BTA. They're still good. It's just never were as much hype as they were made out to be. Didn't hit the phase skip, Sag. Cryo did have to be tweaked because the card damage is too high across the board. I don't know if that had to be done. They did tweak Cryo weapons damage, but I still don't really think that was necessary. Because, like, if we look at weapons that can roll in Cryo and other elements, it's not like Cryo is the only attractive one, even back then. Like, Fire and Flesh was still better. And at the time of that balance change happening, well, they coupled that balance change with a Queen's Cry buff that was larger than the size of the nerf. They had not yet given liquid cooling its nerf. Try to leave some of these ads up if I can. Oh, Dragon Lord went invisible. Cool. Okay. It is possible to Ghostblade Bernadette, but I can't be bothered. Yeah, the counter will be padded out a little bit because of some attempted Ghostblades right there. Cool. Back with Cottage Pie. Nice. 602 Ghostblade actions. Now, granted, some of those were from me attempting to use Ghostblade and it not working, but 602. Between Spriggan and Liquid Cooling, Cryo is way overused, but not because of the balance of Cryo, though. J-Bridge, that's the thing. It's lack of creativity, which sometimes is a good reason to balance things anyway. It's like giving something that doesn't need a buff a very small buff so people remember it exists. Giving something that is popular a very small nerf so that people are more encouraged to seek out other things. I skipped credits after that fight. After that fight, you hold down escape if you're on PC. If you're on controller, I believe you hold down whatever your pause button would be. Yeah, you just hold that down. Not arguing that point. Just put it under the microscope. Yeah. Like, there's some people who would die on the hill of Cryo best element, and no, it's not. Like, if I had to only pick one element in this game, probably still be fire, honestly. There's just more flesh enemies. Granted, you run into some situations like Drill having a fire immune phase, where, yeah, you want a different element. But Cryo isn't the do-it-all element people make it out to be. He says as he's using Cryo, but if you were to do minimal menuing, it's nice for that because it screws you the least. That doesn't mean best. Element matching is still optimal, as it always has been, and unless they make some core changes, always will be. Single element matching, my most marksman build focuses on maximizing single shot damage, moonfire, call pistols, kick charger. Odin obviously is an action element kick charger. Their content is a reason to not just use cryo weapons for the higher base damage. If you're running superior firepower on Moes and you have a cryo weapon, or a weapon that can roll in cryo that could roll in another element, it becomes better than corrosive against anything that does not have cryo resistance. In other cases, on paper, it's still better to element match, but in practice, you don't need that damage. Like, for example, if you were fighting the flesh phase of Hemophorus, fire is still technically more damage, but, like, you don't need that. If you're fighting shielded enemies, then yeah. Shock still technically optimal, but, like, there's not that many shield bars that are big enough for you to care about that. Hey, Tris, how you doing? Okay, so this actually did end up finishing slightly faster than the Dreadwind run, which surprised me. And I think a lot of that is because of movement speed. We just simply moved really, really quickly everywhere. Inclusion Ghostblade goated. So out of all the runs we've done, Ambihex was the fastest, followed by Ghostblade, followed by Dreadwind. Now, of course, rerunning all of these, I could get better times on all of them. But I'm still fairly confident that spells are going to come out to be fastest, just because the nature of them. They spend the least time on cooldown. They have excellent delivery. They allow me to multitask. Ambihex with Trickster's Ice Spikes, I think, is just always going to be the fastest. Fake action skill. In terms of action skills, Ghostblade has been the fastest so far. In terms of action skills we haven't done. There's Polymorph, which I do want to do. Potentially we do Reaper of Bones, but I'd have to figure out exactly what I'm applying Reaper to. And then the idea of doing just a gun build was floated as well. Like, we've done peak melee in several flavors, we've done peak spells. Haven't done peak gun. Those are all options. From the Shadows would not be an interesting run. It's already the speedrun strat, and From the Shadows itself doesn't do damage. Like, what am I damaging with in a From the Shadows run? Done Storm Dragon's Judgment? I did. I did Storm Dragon's Judgment at C100. Now, that was before Dialogue Skip and getting all that put together. So I could maybe redo the Storm Dragon's Judgment on C100. Oh, this is evolved into a speedrun exercise from the humble will this even work beginnings? Yeah. Let's do a speedrun with From the Shadows. It's not going to be faster than Ambihex. For a geared run, it is not faster. Here, this is why. Only reflect shields. I'll show you exactly why. You just can't match spells here. Kind of vaguely tempted to do other spell run, but the only reason I ran Wicked Gossip on that was so that I could accurately count, because oh, tutorial. Yeah, let's do the tutorial, sure. Because the way my counter works doesn't play nice with repeating spells. Yeah, I don't care what you're doing. From the Shadows is not out clearing this. It just isn't. The only stuff I can think of with From the Shadows that is remotely competitive with this would be, like, dot stuff, which still requires more line of sight than this. Or Pixie/Shrike stuff, which is ammo gated and has more travel time. After the spell showcase, can you do that setup? Ghostblade setup C100 if possible? Yeah, yeah. What are we sipping about, son? enemies. Yeah, you're just not out clearing Ambihex, Trickster, Ice Spikes. Obviously, if you push to like a high Chaos Chamber difficulty, then you get things that do outclear that, because those aren't going to do as much damage as Wicked Gossip and Laser Hand, and Frozen Orb, situationally. So that becomes different. But in the context of playthrough, Ice Spikes give you the damage delivery you need at all ranges. They don't get walled by any drill phases, and they hit things outside of your line of sight with high uptime. Like, let me do one actual boss run, and then I'll do, as requested, Viper. I'll do the Blood of the Ball and Ghostblade and see how that holds up. Their benefit to making your character very tall or very short for clearing content quickly. Being tall lets you do a couple mantles that you couldn't otherwise do. I can't think of any directly useful ones off the top of my head, but it does make mantling easier. Being short makes it easier to dodge certain bosses' attacks. For example, Nightmare is more forgiving if you're short. That's Celissa. Like, I don't care what gun you're using with From the Shadows, it doesn't outclear that. Maybe a spell with From the Shadows could, but... So, the ideology behind geared speedruns, very different than ungeared. Ungeared FTS is king. But that is not accounting for things like this. That was a slow Banshee kill just because of my bad aim. But, like, with bad aim, it's that fast. I'll take it. This is why I maintain that, Pure Spell Ambihex is, like, the most efficient playstyle. For practicality in this game. Also, Cryo. In the case of Ice Spikes, this is because they don't roll in anything else. If Ice Spikes rolled in other elements, I would absolutely be using other elements. Case in point, my preferred Arcane Bolt is Lightning. That's 3 minutes 16 seconds for a C100 boss run. 3 minutes 16 seconds. Just kind of casually doing the thing. So that's why I think that'll always be the fastest for the geared speedruns, because you run that with more movement speed, and you keep enough damage to kill, but you just get enough movement speed that you can go forth, do the thing. My quest for farming purple Eidolons, I've come across 30-something% crit damage and 40-something% of the roll 40. The 30% one is what you're looking for. The 41 does not happen on Eidolons. It's the other sniper, the non-crossbow barrel one. And the math works out better with the Eidolon with having 30. So when I said 46 on Eidolon, I was misspeaking. I was incorrect there. I was combining the two mentally. If you get a 30% something Eidolon, then yeah, that's the correct one. Guess we got a tutorial in this one. Stop farming fire ones then. I have one with fire and fire spell damage enchant. Nice. Yeah, that'll be, if you were to do, like, laser hand with shell casings, that'd be optimal. Something I should note here, Viper, is I probably would be running different gear for this. If this was like an endgame focus thing, this is still the playthrough setup, but... like, I'd be going a little less crazy on the movement speed. Probably wouldn't grab as much total duration. And obviously I'd have a different health mod here to better accommodate what I'm doing. But this does give an idea that it works. I can remember when Double Now was a normal bonus element. I remember. Yes. This is, of course, without doing crossbolt stuff or applying soaked. If you're gonna do like the no shooty like this, then I think running Cave of Tides has a strong use case here. Unless you're willing to debuff every enemy with like Tidebreaker, Delusion. And we know Scalawag is good for Ghostblade, so Scalawag would probably come in here. Which does obviously mean no shell casing. Unless you're willing to bank on instinct giving you good swap speed and then just juggle rapidly between something to apply crossbolts and then something to hold for shell casing. Best gun build Spore Blight or Spore Spell? Depends on you, Halcyon. There's no clean answer to that. I'd say most well-rounded would probably be... most well-rounded 4 guns would probably be Spore Blight. But, like, most well-rounded build overall, it's probably Spell Blight. In terms of most well-rounded build that has gunplay as a primary component. But that's 2 different metrics. Like, best is hard to quantify here. Or Blight Stavo, Spore Blight probably peak. Yeah. Because Spore Blight has Play the Angles, Spore Fuse, and Geist in the Shell. Plus, has access to Plague Storm, and then just has good stat distribution. And Blight does a lot to address some of the survivability concerns that Spore has. Like, it's just an effective combo. They play off each other quite well. No shell casing, they never drop for me anyway, so I'm good. Yeah, in that case, then you could probably just do well with, like, whatever melee rings. Yeah. So, Scalawag. And of course, you can switch to Tooth Raider for bosses. Tooth Raider and Kobold for bosses if you so chose to. Or Tooth Raider and Spriggan. Swing speed. Yeah, okay. So yeah, action skills we've not done a run focused around FTS, Plague Storm, Reaper of Bones. Is that it? Is it just those? I suppose with Reaper and From the Shadows I could do something like I'm only allowed to move when they're active. Or something like that. I guess that could be enjoyable. But like, meh. Be significantly less interesting than... At least in the case of FTS, would be significantly less interesting than what we've done. Maybe Reaper with I'm only allowed to move with it on would be cool. I don't know. Plague Storm is just gonna be a no. It'd be too much finicking. It'd just be not good. Percy Jackson show announced Lance Reddick as Zeus. The voice about to go hard. Real. Trying to find a good shock damage spell for Laser Hand, Ice Spike, Wicked Gossip, Bloodshot's up. Any suggestions? Arcane Bolt. Arcane Bolt is my go-to lightning spell. Preferably with extra projectile, extra charge, and then either spell damage or crit damage. Aim Arcane Bolts for crit spots. They do very respectable damage. My favorite way of melting the Maker on Ambihex build. I can see why you couldn't use melee for cooldown, but only shoot while active. I don't... Like, what would I do for the Reaper setup? That's what I'm thinking. Like, I could maybe try to do, like, Spore, Grave, big ammo stuff. Bring back the OG Sawmill stuff with that. Run Reaper, Last Gasp. As much mag size as I can with Sawmills, and just do a run with that. I don't know how high that would scale. I guess, let me make a note and I'll try to do that. Sawmill, quite sad. Yeah, emotional damage. Companion for everyone stuff with Hydras. That would be... I'd have to drop down my chaos level quite low or use hyper-specific gear with a very uninteresting gameplay loop. Yeah, no. Arcane Bolt, completely forgot about that. There's also concentrated magic barrages. Those can roll in a bunch of elements. Those are quite good for bossing. extremely good for bossing, as long as you can, aim them at a crit spot. The channel casts concentrated magic barrages. But yeah, Arcane Bolts is incredibly good. Yeah, I think that's a good stopping point. So, thanks everyone for the birthday wishes, for the warm welcome back. I'm glad my connection is stable enough for me to stream and stuff. We've got a couple more Wonderlands Challenge playthrough things planned. I don't know if I'm gonna stream Dead Space or not. Haven't decided. We'll see. I'm leaning not, but there's a chance. Yeah, I'll figure out what I'm gonna do for the main content after we're done with these Wonderlands runs. Maybe think of more stuff. Maybe do some BL3. I have been doing some BL3 build crafting here and there. That's been enjoyable. For Pokemon fans, Greninja raids start tonight. I'll probably be hanging in Discord with Glenny at some point doing that. And yeah, I've got a bunch of adulting stuff to do, so weather's miserable, but I should probably force myself to go out. Anyway, y'all are great. Hey, Stone Swan, thank you for the 5 gifted. Happy birthday. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Where are we going? D2H enjoying some Forspoken. Love to see it. Twitch front page, stop autoplaying. Or you like this? I don't care what they're talking about. A bunch of people playing Forspoken. That's cool. Lazy's doing his Elden Ring thing. Pascaro's over on Far Cry. Liz and D2H on Forspoken. Oh, let's go to Lazy. I'm unimaginative. The channel point redemptions should work, should trigger the sounds again next stream. I forgot to link it up before the start of stream today. So it should be fine now. But yeah, y'all are great. And I'll see you next time. Bye.